Cool. Okay, so in our today's session, we are going to discuss about features of the blockchain. That is a topic that we are going to cover. Features of the blockchain. Okay, so we'll talk about features of the blockchain. We'll try to understand what are the different features blockchain provides, and we'll try to understand what is the meaning of every feature that we have, and how blockchain based database is different from the centralized databases that we have. Okay, so we'll talk about these things in detail. Okay, before we start, I just wanted to check if my okay. Okay, I guess everything is okay now. Cool. Okay. So, anyone has any doubt regarding the previous topic that we discussed? If you have, you can drop your doubt. I can take 2 or 3 doubts, and then we can move with the blockchain features of the blockchain concept. Okay. Sir Desai, okay. If you are new, in that case, I guess you can watch the previous streams that we have. So in previous streams, we talked about what is the blockchain. We talked about history of the blockchain. We discussed about the how blockchain work. Okay, and let me tell you the course that we are going to cover in this series. So it is going to be a 7-week series. We'll start with what is blockchain, cryptography and Bitcoin, consensus, algo and wallet exchanges, blockchain 2.0, smart contracts, tokenization and fundraising, types of blockchain and use case of the blockchain. So these are the 7 weeks topic that we are going to discuss in our upcoming live streams. Okay, if you wanted to check the previous videos, you can get it on the YouTube, or you can check on the creator applications. You can get the details from there. Okay, cool. So in our today's class, we are going to cover what are the different features that we have in the blockchain. So simply, blockchain has 3 functionalities. Number one is called P2p. So initially, blockchain provides you the first functional, first the features that blockchain has is called P2p functionality. It is peer-to-peer blockchain ecosystems. Okay, it is a P2p ecosystem. So blockchain ecosystems are P2p ecosystems, which means peer-to-peer ecosystems. Okay, that is the first feature of the blockchain. Secondly, blockchain offers you the second feature that is known as the security, which means enhanced security, which means it is highly secure. Okay, high enhanced security. That is the second feature of the blockchain. So first feature is P2P ecosystem. It is a peer-to-peer ecosystem. We'll try to discuss in detail, but just get to know first that what are the different features we have. One is P2P ecosystem. Second, the enhanced security. Third is high availability. Okay, high availability. Then we have fault tolerance. Fault tolerance. Then we have immutability. Immutability. Okay, P2P ecosystem, enhanced security, high availability, fault tolerance, immutability, and consensus. Okay, so these are the 6 features that we have in a blockchain-based ecosystems. So blockchain ecosystem provide you the 6 functionality. One is P2P ecosystem. Second, it is a enhanced security. It offers you high availability, fault tolerance, immutability, and consensus. So these are the 6 features that blockchain ecosystem help you. Okay, now let's understand what these features is all about. So we'll start with first ecosystem, that is P2P ecosystem. What is P2P ecosystem? Can anyone like, if you know anything about P2P ecosystem, you can drop it in the chat so they can see that what you know. But let me tell you about P2P ecosystem in detail. So if you know that all the blockchains based ecosystems, they are connected with one another. So let's say this is a blockchain ecosystem. Okay, which means we have we call them as a node. So these are the nodes. Okay, these are the nodes which are connected with one another. This is a blockchain ecosystem. So this is a blockchain ecosystem that is there. Okay, this is a blockchain ecosystem where we have one, two, three, four. We have four nodes that are connected. This is a first node, second node, third node, and fourth node. So we have four nodes that are connected with one another. Okay. Now every node will have a copy of the original data. So all the blockchain database distribute. So in all the blockchain based databases, what they do, they distribute the original copy of the data to everyone. Let's say if this database has a data called A, and then all the other blockchain will also have the same data. Okay, they will also have the same data. So which means all the blockchain based databases will have the same data. If we want to add any new data in this ecosystem, I want to add B to this ecosystem. Okay, then this data need to be verified by every person who is a part of the ecosystems. Okay, if they say that this is not a valid data, in that case that data will be dropped, which means it is a P2p ecosystems where you need to verify the data from the everyone who is the part of the ecosystem. Okay, so let's say if we have 10 people in the ecosystem, so in that case we need the approval from all these 10 people so that we can add that particular data in the ecosystem. So this is how P2p ecosystems work, where if you want to add any new data, in that case the data need to be verified and validated by the people who are the part of the ecosystem. Okay, now what are nodes? If you wanted to know about nodes, so basically nodes are a simple set of machines. Let's say you can have a laptop, you can create your laptop as a node by running a mining or by making it is a validator or making as a miner. So you can convert your machine as a miner or validator whose task will be to verify and validate the data. So anything that help you in verifying and validate the data, we call them as a node. So anything which will help you in verifying and validating the data, we call them as a node. So for if it is a POW based consensus mechanism, in that case we call them as a miners. If it is a POS based consensus mechanism, we call them as validators. Okay, is it understandable? So let me know if you're able to understand what is P2P. Okay, great. So this is what P2P ecosystem means, which means that in any ecosystem, if you want in a blockchain ecosystem, if you want to add the data or if you want to do anything, in that case, you need to verify the transactions. Cool. The next thing that we have called it enhanced security. Okay. Yep. Great. So let's talk about the next feature that we have, security. So as we talked, let's say if you want to add the data. So if you talk, let's say we talk about centralized based database. So if we talk about DB2 or we talk about Oracle or any centralized databases, in that in that case, if you want to add any new data to any centralized database, in that case uh, you need not like it can easily be added, which means because in centralized databases you don't have the like you don't have the authority is not distributed, which means the central authority will have all the power to add, delete or remove the data. Okay, when we talk about centralized databases, all the centralized databases has four types of permissions. One is create, which means they can create new data. Second is read, which means they can read the data. Third is update, which means they can update the data. And number four is called uh, number four is D, that is called delete the data. So in centralized ecosystem, we have these four functionalities. We call them the CRUD functionalities, which means create, read, update, and delete. Which means you can create new data, you can update, you can delete, okay, and you can read. But in decentralized databases, we have only two functionality, that is C and R, which means you can create the data and you can read the data. Which means in decentralized databases, you have only two functionality, that is create and read. That create and read, which means that you cannot create and read, which means you cannot update and delete the data. Okay, which means you cannot update and delete the data. So let's say if there is any false entry that has added in the blockchain, and if you want to delete that false entry, in that case you have to update it, but that is not possible. So which means you cannot delete or update any false entry which you have committed on any decentralized database. You have to make a new entry to make sure that you to update the previous entry. Which means if you want to update any false previous entry, in that case you have to update it, and for updating it you have to create a new entry, which means you cannot update any previous transaction that you have done. So that is what decentralized database offer. Okay, that is, this functionality is also known as the immutable functionalities. Okay, this is why we call it as an immutable database, which means you cannot update or delete any false entry that you have made on your decentralized databases. Okay, this is why all these databases are immutable in nature. Okay, which means you cannot update and delete the previous entries that are the false entries for you. Okay, is it understandable? What is this immutability means? Okay, also when it comes to security, okay, so here we get one feature, that is that in centralized databases all the database is managed by a central authority, which means they have the control on the ecosystems. But when it comes to decentralized databases, the power is distributed to everyone who is the part of the ecosystem, which means if somebody is trying to default the system, that is not possible, because for that you need to take the permissions of everyone who's a part of the ecosystems, and that's why it is not possible to default the systems. Okay, that is what is not possible, which means which makes this ecosystem very secure in nature. Cool. Yeah, see it see basically different consensus mechanism are used. Some ecosystem use proof of work, some ecosystem use proof of stake. The process remains the same, that if we use a consensus mechanism, the role of consensus mechanism is to verify and validate the data before it can be added on the blockchain ecosystems. Okay, so if you want to add any new data in a blockchain ecosystem, first you need to verify the data, or you need to validate the data. If you are doing this verification or validation process, you need to follow a consensus mechanism. It can be anything, it can be proof of work, proof of stake, proof of history, proof of POSS, it can be anything. So it can be any other consensus mechanism. It can be proof of farming, it can be proof of storage, it can be any consensus mechanism, but the role will be the same. Okay, that if you want to add the data in the blockchain ecosystem, you need to verify it or you need to validate it. Okay, cool. uh, Okay, is it understandable, Kausal? Let's talk about fault tolerance. We talked about enhanced security. We talked about immutability. Let's talk about fault tolerance, high availability, and consensus. Okay. So when we say that ecosystem is fault tolerant, what does it mean? Fault tolerance means that nobody can force the system, which means if anyone tries to add any false entry in the ecosystem, that is not possible because the ecosystem is fault tolerant. And how it is done? It is done using this distributed, because the blockchain ecosystem has a feature called distributed ledger, which means the data is distributed among the multiple stakeholder who is a part of the ecosystems. Let's say if there are 10 people who are the part of the ecosystems, then all these 10 people will have the data with themselves. Okay, so that means that data is distributed to 10 different parties. Okay, in case if somebody is trying to add any new entry in the ecosystems, in that case that data need to be verified by those 10 people, because all those 10 people will have the copy of the original data, and they will verify that new data whether it is matching with the previous entry or not. If it is not matching, then that case they will try to say that it is not a original data, it is a false data, and they will ignore it and they will remove it from the, they will not add it on the blockchain ecosystem. So this is how fault tolerance thing works, which means if somebody is trying to default the ecosystem, that is not possible, because the data need to be verified and validated before it can be added in the blockchain ecosystem. And that's why we call the decentralized database is fault tolerant, which means nobody can able try to like add any false entry in the ecosystem, because the database is fault tolerant. Okay, now how this fault tolerance thing work? Okay, to make a system fault tolerant we need a consensus. Okay, and for that we have a consensus that help in making a system fault tolerance. Okay, and that consensus can be anything. It can be proof of work, it can be POW proof of work, it can be POS proof of stake, it can be POH proof of history, it can be proof of storage, it can be proof of farming, proof of POS. Okay, POS, okay, POS. It can be DPoS, delegated proof of stake. It can be anything. Okay, so consensus mechanism can be anything, but the task of the consensus mechanism will be the same. Oh my God, consensus. POW, POS, POH. Okay. So consensus mechanism can be anything, but the role of consensus mechanism will be the same. The consensus mechanism is an algorithm that is used to verify consensus. Consensus mechanism is an algorithm that is used. Mechanism is an algo that is used to verify and validate the data. Verify and validate the data before can be before it can be added to the blockchain. So if you want to add any data, in that case we need a consensus mechanism to verify and validate the data before that data can be added in the blockchain ecosystem. Okay, the consensus mechanism can be anything. It can be proof of work, proof of stake, proof of history, and anything else, proof of storage, DPoS. There are a lot of consensus mechanisms that we have. Okay, bench. So we'll talk about consensus in detail, but here just one thing that you need to keep in your mind, that the blockchain ecosystem is fault tolerance. It is a distributed ledger. It has like it's a P2p ecosystem, so where data is distributed among different parties. It has an enhanced security, which means nobody can fault the ecosystems. Okay, it is immutable in nature, which means nobody can update or delete the data, and it has a consensus mechanism which makes sure that data is verified and validated before it can be added in the ecosystem. And the last is high availability, which means the data is available 24 cross 7 cross 365, which means you can add, delete data anytime you want, which means the data is available every time. Okay, so it's like if you are sitting at home at the night and you want to see the data, what is happening inside the ecosystem, you can do it. So you can see the data anytime you want, which means the data is visible to everyone whosoever is a part of the ecosystems. Okay, he can see the data from anywhere. He can see anytime, so data can be seen anytime, it can be visible to everybody. So that is why this blockchain ecosystem is very this is how blockchain ecosystem is designed, so that data can be seen by everybody, which means it is transparent in nature, immutable in nature, it is secure, available 24 cross 7, security is high, nobody can force the ecosystem, which means fault tolerant need to be there, and consensus to verify and validate the data. So these are the different features of the blockchain. Okay, let me know if you are not able, if you have any problem with any of these features. I will try to explain it. Okay, so if anyone has any doubt with any of these features, do let me know. And I'm just sending you this block. You can read this block to get a better idea of the different features of the blockchain. Okay, and also make sure that you have subscribed to the YouTube. That is the only thing. How do you start building on the chain? Okay, what does it mean? What do you want to ask? Do you want like how we build the this blockchain ecosystem? That is what you are asking, or you want to know how to build applications, like what's the first step to build your own token? Okay, see, you can build the ecosystem, you can build your own token. It's like there are two things that you can do to build an token. Either you create your own blockchain and build the token over that blockchain. That is a one case where you can create your own blockchain ecosystems, and on the blockchain ecosystem you can create your own token which you can release in the market. That is a one way. Second, if you don't want to create your own blockchain, in that case you can easily go and connect. You can go to other blockchain ecosystem, Ethereum, Cardano, Polygon, or any other blockchain ecosystem. You can go there and you can create your token on these blockchains. That is the second option. So first option is like either you can create your own blockchain and then create your token. Second option, you can go and connect with any other blockchain ecosystem that we have, Ethereum, Polygon, and you can create your blockchain ecosystems over there. To create your token, you need to know few languages like Solidity and Rust. These are the languages that are required to build the blockchain ecosystem. If you want to build on Polygon, Solidity is required. Ethereum, Solidity is required. If you want to build on Solana, Rust is required. So these ecosystem needs some programming languages to build the ecosystems. If you don't want to build the token, if you want to build the token without coding, in that case you can go and look for the other creator economy based ecosystem where you can create the token without coding. So they offer you a feature where you can create your own economy, you can create your own token by being a creator, and you can sell it in the market. You can trade in the open market as well. So which means you can trade your own token in the open market with, and you can create those tokens without coding. So there are a lot of creator economy. There is a one example for that is BitCloud. You can go to BitCloud. BitCloud is an ecosystem where you can create your own token and you can sell it in the market. Okay, so BitCloud is a similar kind of mechanism where you can create your own token just and you can sell it in the ecosystem. So it can be any token you want, you can create it and you can sell it in the ecosystems. Okay, this does not require any coding. You can go there and you can build your ecosystems over there. Okay, so that can be done. So BitCloud is one thing that you can look at. Okay, cool. Let me know, Vivan, if you're able to understand it. Cool. don't worry about it. If you want to go more detail into it, if you want to know how to release your own crypto product in the market, for that I am thinking of doing one more series that will be mostly focused on that how to build your own crypto products. Okay, so there we'll talk about how to do the research, how to how to create white papers, how to create pitch deck, how to pitch investors, how to raise money, how to create tokens, what are the things that you need. So we'll talk about all those things. It will mostly focused on like how you can build your own crypto project and release in the market. Will I'm think I will build one series on that as well, but it will start after this series. So this series will have like around 10 to 12 more sessions, and after that we'll start that second series. Okay, so we'll talk about those things as well if you really interested in building on your own crypto products. Okay, so we'll talk about those things as well. So anyone who wanted to know that how this tokenomics white paper things work, how much allocation to take, we'll talk about all those details. Okay, and I will also bring some of the people from the industry who have been working in this space for a long time, so that you can also get their views as well. And we'll also talk about on the product side, like how to do product analysis. We'll talk about all those details, but things will take time, so we'll have to go slow. Okay, but the only thing that I will request you from all of you that there is a link to the YouTube. You can subscribe to that as well, and do follow me in the creator, because that's where you get all the updates, and we'll make sure that you get fresh content every week. Okay, thank you for joining in. I guess you got the idea of the features of the blockchain. Tomorrow we'll talk about cryptography concept. We'll talk about cryptography, and we go more detail into cryptography and asymmetric cryptography, one-way hashing, digital signatures, Bitcoin architecture. We'll talk about all those details in upcoming weeks. Okay. Till then, thank you for joining in. See you in the next week with new topics. Okay. And thank you everyone. Thank you Nissan, Vivan, Kausal, Sardesai, anyone who's here, because I see very less number of names over here. If you can ping that, I can get to know that who else is here. By okay, yeah. Thank you everyone. Bye bye, bye everyone.